Warm greetings from Redwood City, IMC here, and today we continue on this sub-theme of the week, which is Metta Samadhi, the Samadhi of Metta. And for it to be a Samadhi, I'd like to emphasize two things that are important. And these two things are important for Samadhi, but also important for Metta. For whatever Metta is for you, kindness, goodwill, loving kindness, love, it has these qualities built into it, which are a little bit not so usually associated with love. One is that it is a unification, a gathering together to becoming centered, we can say centered on oneself, centered right here at the junction, at the nexus of all our experience within and outside and inside. That we're centered, we're grounded, settled. And so with Samadhi, we're not reaching forward to have something. We're not trying to get something. We're not searching for something. We're not expecting something. We're not trying to make something happen in a certain way. The idea of there's no need to be reciprocated, to get something in return. Samadhi is kind of a beautiful, holistic, self-contained experience where we're settled at home here in this experience right now. And so is Metta. The second is that Samadhi involves pleasure. And explicitly sometimes deeper Samadhi is associated with joy and happiness, sometimes with bliss even. But to some degree there is a pleasure without it needing to be dramatic or special. But there's something extremely pleasant and satisfying and nice about the experience of Samadhi. And it's a pleasure which is self-reinforcing, pleasure which is self-inviting. Here, come here, this is good. This is a good pleasure. And Metta, the Samadhi of Metta also has pleasure. There's pleasure in love, but not the pleasure of sensual pleasure, not the pleasure of receiving and getting something, but a self-contained pleasure of something that's really centered and grounded and flowing here in ourselves. And so these two qualities we tap into to get concentrated, to get absorbed, to get completely connected here in the groundedness, a settledness, centeredness here. And we search for the pleasure of love. And let that pleasure of love being a gathering of more and more this attention here. So to assume a meditation posture, and some people when they do metta meditation, they make sure the posture is pain-free, if that's possible. The posture is tension-free, without collapsing or sinking or luxuriating. So then to feel the body, maybe gently closing your eyes. And as you feel your body, to see where in the body there's a feeling of pleasure. Pleasantness doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be a subtle vibration, glow, warmth. And ideally this pleasure is not there because there's something that's touching you or doing something to you. It's just kind of something as pleasant, just being alive right now in the body. Maybe what's pleasant in the mind is the pleasure of sitting in a meditation posture with nothing else you need to do but to discover something new about your capacity to love. Taking a few fuller breaths, and as you exhale, to relax into a centered place within. A grounded place within, at the end of the exhale. Where the inhale begins from this grounded place. And while something stays rooted there, there's the growth and the expansion of the inhale through the body. And as you breathe in and out, if it's easy enough, breathe through or breathe with whatever pleasure that's here and now in your body. A simple pleasure may be connected to the simplicity of being. And then think of someone that's easy for you to have metta, goodwill, uncomplicated friendliness, kindness, love, where you need nothing back from this person. But it delights you to know the person. It brings you a smile, a joy, just to know that this person is in your life. And this joy, this delight, can you find the pleasure of your positive regard for this person? Maybe it takes a form of a smile in the heart. if you have love or kindness, goodwill for this person, say yes to it. A yes that allows you to inhabit the pleasure of the goodwill, wherever that pleasure is. And then connecting, breathing with the pleasure. Connecting breathing to a centered place within. Gathering a sense of centeredness. Breathing. And the pleasure of metta, goodwill. And wishing them well. Wishing your person, may you be happy. And seeing if you can settle into that wish to feel the pleasure behind it, the love. Quieting distracting thoughts so you can dwell in the simplicity of being centered here with goodwill for your friend, your person. Enjoying the pleasure of love, of goodwill. As a general mood or atmosphere that keeps you welcomed, invited into the immediate world of the body, the heart, the breathing, infused with goodwill. Feeling the pleasure that's available, however subtle it is, in the body, in the sensations of breathing. Maybe in a place of inner quiet, stillness. And to have that pleasure together with love, goodwill, that needs nothing in return, that is just a radiance, a glow, a field of subtle pleasure in which you breathe, within which you wish well to others. May you be happy. And as we come to the end of this sitting, to appreciate, if you can, the simple pleasure of goodwill, holding others in a positive regard, with generosity, kindness, in which there's pleasure and comfort just being this way, just having love. No need for it to be reciprocated. No need for others to know. You have this kind of metta. And to recognize that it might be really nice for you to be this way. And that it's okay to stay this way towards all beings, even those that are difficult. Because to not do that diminishes you. You lose touch with this pleasure. In the self-contained place of being centered and here and now, the metta of Samadhi. Allow your metta to go out into the world, to glow, to flow unto all beings equally. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. And may all beings stay close to their own capacity, their own ability to be nourished, to be delighted by their own capacity to love, their own capacity for goodwill. May all beings enjoy the benefits of goodwill. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this continuous series on love. in the Buddhist meanings of the word love. And so one of the forms of love in Buddhism is metta, usually translated as loving kindness. I often translate it as goodwill. And the so one of the things to appreciate is that goodwill, love, takes many different forms. So whatever ways I talk about it or someone else talks about it, it might not be the good fit for how you do it. And so I try to talk about all the different component ways that might come into play, so that even just one of those might be your way. For some people it's more a feeling. For some people it's more an intention. For some people it's more a form of way of thinking. For some people it involves more a kind of feeling of a certain kind of healthy desire. For some people it's a glow, some people it feels like a light, some people it's just a kind of wonderful kind of tingling, something. There's all kinds of ways in which it's felt. There's many aspects of it. And in order to go into the samadhi of metta, meaning in order to really immerse oneself deeply in the whole experience, the whole capacity for metta, so that it becomes the unified, continuous place that we rest, we abide. An amazing thing that that's possible. So that our whole being somehow is suffused with some degree of goodwill, that this is what we're centered on, this is what we're about in the course of the samadhi itself. And there's a lot of learning that happens in this state. And two of them that I wanted to emphasize today. One is a samadhi is a state where we're somehow self-contained, self-unified. We're at home, we're centered on ourselves, so that the mind or the heart, we are not reaching forward for something, expecting something, wanting something, trying to get something, trying to avoid something, trying to push something away. That whole movement of being pushing and grabbing, getting and taking and avoiding, all that quiets down, because in samadhi we're becoming deeply centered here and now. I'd like to say almost centered on oneself, but there's something about self that kind of begins to become kind of amorphous or kind of intangible as we get more and more centered here on ourselves, paradoxically. So we're really here. And often when people love, in conventional love in our society, it's transactional, it comes with expectations, it comes with things that we want to have, we want to be with the person we love more, we want to be appreciated by them, we want them to be committed to us, we want them to somehow reciprocate and with loving us in all kinds of ways. We want to have pleasure, we want to have time, we want. And some of that's fine, some of that is healthy, but clearly in a samadhi state, that is not there. There's no reaching out or wanting. And this is a revolutionary way for some people to experience, because from some people, their mind is incessantly wanting something or not wanting something. Every thought involves some desire or aversion, something, some preoccupation, and that we're concerned with. But in samadhi, we're coming home to ourselves. There's no more kind of clinging desire, no desire reaching out beyond ourselves, wanting something. If there's a desire, the desire is to be fully at home here, to relax into this experience here, to open up into this experience here. And so to learn that in Samadhi, and have the Samadhi be centered on Metta, on love, begins to show us that there's a capacity for love we have that can be non-transactional, that can be independent of what other people are doing, independent of what we get in return, even independent of whether people are doing something that is we disapprove of or strongly disapprove of. If it's transactional, we feel like, well, I can't love them if they're doing something awful. We don't have to approve what they're doing. We can sometimes even stand and say, no, you can't do that. But what we learn in Samadhi is that we are harming ourselves, or harming our Samadhi, harming our capacity for love, if we limit our love, if we exclude people from it. And the wisdom of being able to feel kindness, feel goodwill, non-transactionally, and have the wisdom to take care of things in the world. This is one of the gifts that we could learn from Samadhi. Sitting in meditation and discovering this centered, grounded kind of goodwill, which is complete in itself. It needs nothing else. Even if it has the wish, may someone be happy, the wish is not a desire that needs to be fulfilled. So that's one aspect that is kind of universal when we're talking about a Samadhi. The other is that Samadhi is pleasant. There's pleasure in a Samadhi. And healthy love has pleasure in it. It's pleasant to have it. And one of the ways to become grounded and centered in Samadhi is to really feel the welcoming, nurturing sensations of pleasure that is there as part of it. Different people experience that pleasure very different ways. And some people it might be more cognitive, more mental. Some people it might be more emotional, more heartfelt. Some people it might be somatic, kind of radiating through the body. And the other ways as well. But to feel some kind of pleasure, pleasantness in our whole psychophysical system, someplace. It could be in one little spot. It could be kind of a wider area. It could be the whole body. But to recognize that and really allow the gathering, the unification, the centering ourselves in the experience here to include that pleasure. To include that pleasure so that pleasure can kind of begin to suffuse or pervade or spread, is the language of the Buddha, so that it can kind of have an influence that spreads through our body to help bring more of this pleasure around. So when the Samadhi has to do with Metta, then it's the pleasure that comes from having love, the pleasure that comes from having goodwill. You're allowed to have that pleasure. If we're too concerned with a should, we're supposed to be kind, we're supposed to do it right, we're supposed to have this, then we're not centered on ourselves, we're not kind of relaxed and being here. And then it's hard to feel the pleasure. And so to begin feeling that pleasure, and letting that pleasure and that centeredness not be tricked away or hijacked by beliefs that you don't deserve this, you shouldn't be this way, this is not something that good people do, that this is too selfish. There's all kinds of things that would take us away to center here, to relax here, to be here in a full way. And so these two qualities that can support the samadhi of metta, quality of being really centered here in yourself, and the quality of feeling the pleasure of being here, being pleasure of having goodwill. And as we stay with goodwill, stay with that pleasure. Some people can just simply stay with it and radiate it, that pleasure of goodwill kind of becomes the focal point as we breathe through it. And the feeling that love then spreads. And that allows our thinking mind to get quieter and quieter. Other people find that it's really useful to have the thinking mind engaged very, very simply with expressing this goodwill. So sometimes I use the word yes, that just yes to this love. Sometimes I use it just say happy, joy, peace. And sometimes more classically is to well-wishing has a wish. And that is saying, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be peaceful, may you be free. And so each person's going to have to find their own way through some of these different component parts of loving kindness. But the guide is to do so very simply in such a way that we start feeling the invitation to become centered here in our experience, feeling the pleasure of it all, just being with it. So I hope that makes sense, and for all of you, and we'll continue this series on Metta Samadhi tomorrow. And I saw there were some chats about the low volume here, and so maybe something has changed in the settings. We had trouble last week with this, last while on the recording system here. So I appreciate the chats, and I'll go check now if there's anything to do with the settings. And but I have been wondering whether it's actually my voice. Maybe this topic, maybe I'm a little bit too close to this meditative way, and so my voice is getting even lower than usual. So I'll look into it, and I hope that my voice will be loud enough for all of you tomorrow. Thank you.